Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting the Piarsaigh here today. Conor and I, Conor is hurling coaching officer and myself as club secretary. We're very privileged to be able to tell our story. I do want to shout out that I know our chairman Richard is here today, and also great coaches that we have. I know Emmett is here, Emmett Beston, coaches and manages many teams of various age groups, and Con Daly from a football perspective, also one of our great coaches and managers as well. And if there's anybody here that I haven't seen from the Piarsaigh and you're here, hi to you, sorry for that, not mentioning you, I just don't realise you're here. So look, we're just going to tell you for the next 20 minutes, 30 minutes or so about the Piarsaigh story, where we are. And I suppose I stepped into the role as club secretary a year and a half ago, and it was interesting what they were talking about earlier on about volunteers. My mother recruited me on Christmas morning inside in my kitchen. She said to me, Lavinia, I see you in the newspaper doing this, I see you're on the board of that, I see you're doing something else. You have been reared in a Piarsaigh, and she's right. I've been reared in a Piarsaigh. I have not on the hurling pitch, but I've been probably reared from a score perspective, winning medals for a Piarsaigh at All-Ireland level as well. So she said, you've grown up in a Piarsaigh and you're not giving enough time. I was giving time. It's not that I wasn't given any. My mother felt I wasn't given enough. So I ended up on the executive, and 6 months later I ended up as club secretary. So figure that one out. So interesting enough, I actually didn't touch anything. No. So it's not me from a signal perspective, if ever anybody wants to come up, and the joys of technology. While you're doing that, interesting enough, anybody here, I'm mindful this is a talk to clubs around Munster. So I went into the role 2 weeks before the All-Ireland final in 2023. So any of you here from Limerick will totally sympathise with me. Any of you not here from Limerick absolutely have no sympathy for me at all. So it was a really interesting thing to start with, because starting off as trying to distribute All-Ireland tickets to the club was one way that you got to know everybody, and it was also a way that everybody got to know you very quickly. So you can very much turn into the hero and then the villain in the space of 24 hours. So, how are we doing? Not good. Not good. Okay. All right. I'll ad-lib as I can, because I know the slides. So, from a perspective, I have. I'll let you vote away. So, from the first slide was going to show you lovely photographs of our teams, right? And our teams across hurling, football, camogie, LGFA, Rounders and Borden and Oak. We're a club that started back in 1968. So the club is older than me, I'd like to add. But there were many people who made that club, and we talked about that earlier on about the volunteerism. We've many people who really made that club of what it is today. So for an example, there's been a huge amount of successes. So from a hurling perspective, we have over 70 championship wins, and that including Féile across all ages, right? So from underage right through to seniors. We're very fortunate to win the Piarsaigh Senior Hurling All-Ireland title in 2016. And that wasn't a testament just to the team in the day, it was a testament to the many people who helped with that team as they were, okay, perfect, as they grew up in underage. We also have our football. So from a football perspective, we've over 21 championship and Féile wins from a football perspective. And our camogie started in 1993. And they've also won over 20 championships as well. From a ladies' Gaelic football, it started with Mothers and Others back in 2022. And in 2024, just last year, we were delighted to see that we debuted our first underage 14 girls team for Gaelic football. Our Rounders established there in around 2022, and they have people participating from the age of 18 up to 65. And then, of course, our Borden and Oak, which is the heart and the foundation of our club. So yes, we have had much success. As well as that, though, our facilities, we have wonderful, pristine pitches. And again, these were built with heart from the many people who were involved in our club for many years and made wise decisions to maybe purchase another piece of land and all those decisions that they made and develop our club. So from the pitches perspective, as well as that, we have a fantastic hall. You can see there, many of you may have visited on Munster final days or matches in Gaelic grounds. There's a huge army of volunteers that go in the background to make those days a great success. And we know everybody has lovely feedback and memories when they do visit our club. Our hall that we launched and opened last year, we were able to sit 200 people for business breakfast. Last June, and Jarlath Burns, the president, came down to launch our strategy. And then weekly we have Pilates, we have Zumba classes, we have yoga, and we have Irish dancing 2 nights a week that actually brings people into our club in more ways than just the pitches themselves. So if you do actually just look at the pitches, just some interesting facts about that is that over in 2024, we actually had over 250 matches played on our pitches across all ages, right? So these are all challenge matches or championship games. So there's a lot of work that has to go into actually managing that. In actual, the big success, I think, regardless if you're talking about roll of honours, and if you come back to the ethos of what today is about, and you think about the underage, in essence, what our pitch actually had last year was 2.5 thousand hours of time played on the pitch. 2.5 thousand. That means of engagement of children, of adults on the side, you know, shouting and roaring at them at the pitch, bringing them along, training them. And that's a huge value to the community if you think about it from that perspective. So we have three pitches, 1 side pitch, a ball wall, and also changing rooms and the club shop. So I've talked about the indoor areas as well. So the real thing about this, right, is that all of this on the pitch and off the pitch, what's hugely important is it does take an army, it does take volunteers. And here what we're talking about here is that it takes people working together both on the pitch and off it to build a club, united by the dedication and the vision. So in doing that, what we have discovered is that, you know, and we talked about it earlier on, the one person with so much work on their shoulders, you actually burn them out. So what we really have been trying to do, especially over the past 12 months, is looking at building teams of volunteers. So I'm going to use 2 as an example from an administration perspective. So for the club shop, for example, we had 1 person running the club shop, and that is quite onerous because they have to be there to open the shop, close the shop, order the stock. What we did last year is we changed the way we do that. We run the club shop, and we have a team inside there now, and they are a fabulous group. I'm actually part of it, and actually I love it, right? Because we realised how important the club shop was, and many people said to us, go online, you're far better, go online. But in actual fact, what we discovered was our club shop is actually the community. It's part of an opportunity where people can just come in. They have the excuse to coming into the shop to buy something, but actually they just want to come in and say hello and find out things. So your club shop, it's not just about the merchandise and the selling of the goods. It's actually the opportunity to come in and engage with people. And by having a team there, it's not onerous on one people, it's collective. But that team are also forming bonds and learning from each other as well. Another one that I know won't be a great fan for you inside in this room, mindful there's a lot of coaches, is things like safeguarding and Garda vetting. So from a secretary perspective, the buck lies here, right? So if anybody comes in and does an audit, I'll be the one marched out the door with the coaches who aren't Garda vetted. Conor will come up and he'll talk about the coaching part 2E. So if Conor says to us inside in the executive and he says, how many coaches have we got for the year ahead? And he could say, because we actually have 40 teams, I meant to say that to you, we've got 40 teams in operation throughout the club. So if Conor comes in and says we're starting for the year ahead, and that's great, on average, if you said 40 teams and 2 people per team, we have 80 coaches and managers ready to go for the year ahead. We'll go, that's great. Well, how many are Garda vetted and how many are safeguarded? He could say, well, we've 40. Let's say, okay, so we've 40 coaches ready to go ahead for the year ahead. Because that's the reality. Because we cannot, by law, put people out looking after children if you're not Garda vetted and coach and safeguarded. That's the law. We can't break that, so we have to figure out a way to do it. It is challenging for administration to get the buy-in on that. So last year we did find it a challenge, and we said, all right, what do we need to do different this year that will make that a better experience, that we can actually get people Garda vetted and that it's not onerous? So we looked at what's the problem. Filling out the forms is a problem. Not everybody likes to do that. I know. I'm married to a husband who the minute a form comes in the door, he goes, can you deal with that? So really what we did here is said, right, make it more engaging. Phone calls to coaches, phone calls to the managers, saying, look, we have to do this. How can we get this done? Have the safeguarding course inside in the club, bringing people in. But it was the constant phone calls. We had a brilliant children's officer this year, Niamh, who really took that on board. And we said, look, we can send as many emails as you want. They go into the recycle, the bin in your inbox. But really pick up the phone, talk to them. What we want to be able to do is that once we have made every effort from our perspective as officers to make sure that we are compliant by law, that we're doing the right thing, that we are compliant by the GA regulations as well, and that we have made every effort to you as coaches to reach out and give you every opportunity. We'll literally write the form for you if you want to and just help you sign it. We'll do everything we can. There's no more we can do. So that's what we have done. And we've had a fantastic ratification, which we'll be doing on Monday night, of engagement. I'd say we've upped it to about 95% of engagement of people ready to go for our training sessions ahead. So it's all about how you're thinking about, if you've done something one year, what's the problem? Think about it differently, and then the improvement can happen rather than beating them all with a stick. That's not the approach to take. So another thing that we identified was part of a lot of things were happening in the club, and we were kind of, there was like something would happen over here and that would cause a problem. And then over here, somebody else was doing something else, and you're going, why are they all going off doing this stuff? So it was all these different things, and these different things that were happening were actually causing problems, right? So what we said was, well, how can we mitigate these little problems that were kind of little things that were erupting around the club? So what we said was, what we're lacking? We're lacking our clear purpose and our clear vision. And what's our North Star? So we wanted to make sure that everybody in the club was aligned to what that North Star was. But actually, if you asked us, we as officers couldn't tell you what it was. Of course, we'll say we want to win another All-Ireland Senior Hurling final. Of course we would, But in reality, outside of that, what was it? We engaged with the Limerick GAA, so Ger Corkery was a fantastic support, and Seamus Toomey. And here you can see a night where we brought invited all our club into the hall. We invited our community. This was open to everybody. Just come in, a welcome night, come in, and we sat down and we asked them various questions. And really it was the officers, the executive, were not building this plan. This was going to be, excuse it now without sounding like Trump, but this was like going to be the plan for the people. It was them listening to them and them building the plan of what the North Star was going to be. So we had a really successful night. You can see how the volume of people that turned up, but the engagement was really, really strong. So what did we hear back? We asked them, what makes Na Piarsaigh a great club? And here is what they told us. So these aren't my words, these aren't the chairman's, these aren't Conor's. These are what the people of our club and our community told us, right? So there's a lot inside in this. So for us, what we want to make sure is that we keep this alive. Because if this is what makes the club great, we should make sure that we continue these ethoses as we build out the club in the future. And you can see, yes, great coaches are there. You can see good to get to know your neighbours. You can see pride, you can see location, professionalism, and you can see, I was delighted to see good administration up there. So as much as people don't like it, they do recognise that when it's done, it's important and it's needed. So separate to that then, of course, as we talked to them, we asked them, right, well, what does the future look like? What do you think we should be doing? So we came up with our pillars, and they were all asked first, their ideas, and this was greatly facilitated by Ger and Seamus. They called out all what their ideas were, and then all the ideas were put into pillars of what was the common themes coming through. And then what we asked them was, okay, here are the pillars. This was all done the same night. Here's the pillars of what they look like. Now, which pillar are you gravitating towards? What one do you think you can support? Naturally, the coaches one was quite large because all the coaches went to the coaches section. But it was then, right, okay, have you got, because really a club, there's something there for everyone. So where can you support? So then we went towards the finance. People who had finance expertise or interested went to that. Others went to administration, one club, others to club communications and social and other. So this is now our North Star. So for the next 3 to 5 years, this is what all of the club, this isn't the executive, this isn't the chairmen, the secretaries are, and anything I would always say is that as officers and as executive and as coaches, we're all just caretakers for a moment in time of our club, because we're 56 years old and we're coming into our 57th year. And there's going to be another secretary and there's going to be another coach down the year. So all we are caretakers. And for that moment in time, we're caretaking the club. We want to make sure we're caretaking it as best to our ability to be able to hand it over to the next set of caretakers of secretary, chair, whoever it is down the road. So here's our North Star. Everybody's really clear. So from a finance perspective, we have 4 clear objectives that we're going to fundraise for, 4 projects. And with those 4 projects, if somebody else comes in saying, Lavinia, wouldn't it be great if we had a swimming pool outside in the Piarsaigh? Should it be gorgeous if we all went into the swimming pool every Saturday morning? Sure, sorry guys, that's not in the projects, okay? So it really is a case of everybody is aligned with what those 4 projects are. So if we're fundraising, that's where the funds are going towards. Club communications at a high level, we'll just talk about communications. You've got 2 front doors in your club. You've got the physical front door, you walk through your gates, and you've got your virtual front door. So that's your website and your social media. And we knew that our social media and website was, in its time, it was really good, but we needed to move to the next level. So we invested in our website. Please do go look at it. We invested in our website and recognised that no matter where you are in the world, and you are in a Piarsaigh, and you are interested in a Piarsaigh, you can always connect with us, and you can always hear our story, and that was the virtual front door. And that also impacts sponsors and anything else you want to do. I would also just add, even though we're not one club officially, we operate as good as in a one club environment. And from a one club perspective, we do intend to move officially that direction, but we know we will do it at the right time, with the right people, and the right approach when it is for all of the club. I could go on to other things, but I'm just going to finish really by saying these are the pillars that we've picked. You will find your own pillar. Even though you might say we all need finance, but what you want underneath that finance pillar will be what's relevant to your club. I would encourage you to engage with, like we did with Limerick GAA, your own GAA, because these supports are there as well. It was a great help. It was a great way for us to engage differently with our members and with the community. And I suppose, before I hand you over to Conor, really, I mean, this is what it's about, isn't it? Our Will O'Donoghues, our Peter Casey's, all of them, they were all this age once. But it doesn't mean they all have to win All-Ireland medals. It's just about these kids getting out on the pitches, having fun, and being part of the GAA community and enjoying it. Because when they grow older, they will be chairmen, or women. They will be secretaries, they will be treasurers, they will be coaches, they will be working in the shop, they will be contributing in many different ways. So building our club plan is about building our future together. So I'd like to hand you over to Conor now about the coaching piece. You get the mic?
Hey folks, listen, I won't hold you long. I'm under time constraint. I've been given about 5 or 6 minutes. So my own name is Conor Shields. I know many people in the audience. I've got a couple of my colleagues there in work and in competition smiling at me. So, obviously from an Piarsaigh perspective, we're delighted to be here. I'm representing the Piarsaigh GAA Club, but I'm also representing about 150 to 160 coaches, okay, who do tremendous work. And my job, along with some of my fellow members on a committee, is to help and guide them through the year and into the future, okay? Obviously, when we come to these things, people may say, oh, you're giving away some secret sauce. There is no secret sauce, folks. It's just down to pure hard work, coordination, and commitment from people, okay? So one of the things that Lavinia spoke about was, the coaching and player development pillar in part of our strategy. So these are just some of the pillars. They're not all of them, but they're a guide and a reference as we start the year of the way we mean to go on. So the first thing we do every year is we form a coaching committee. Luckily, there's about 6 or 7 people on that committee, and we carve up the responsibilities. So in other words, that responsibility may be carved up between 5 and 10, and they coordinate 5 and 10. They may coordinate 11 to 15, 15 to 20, and then up, right? So it's not just one person trying to do all this work. We have many people, age-specific, working together as a whole to deliver our overall strategy and our plan. So once we have the coaching committee formed, we then develop our plan. So within our plan, then it can be like age specific. We may have, for example, a program for under 5 and 6s. There's a skill set in there. The coaches, we meet with the coaches, we meet with the parents. We say, this is your coaching plan. It's a bit like in the breakout session. It's almost like an academic program we go to school with and say, here's the 5 or 6 skills that you start with coming in at 5 or 6. Do we actively engage with the coach? Do we actively engage with the parent? Do we actively engage with the player to give them some kind of guidance as what they want to do every year? Absolutely. Is there a handover from year to year? Absolutely. So some people might say, again, it came up in the last breakout session, what about a person that comes in with their child and goes from 5s to 6s to 7s to 8s to 9s and they're really good and they progress up all along? How do you kind of work that? So what we do in a scenario then is absolutely, if a parent wants to go all the way up along with a child, that's fine. But there are people in the club who really are really good between 5 and 10. So they would join the committee. They may step back a little bit from coaching on the pitch, or they may coach on the pitch but be on the committee. So they would have the responsibility within that age group rather than age year. Does that make sense? Okay? Obviously, we spend a lot of time on coach education. There's lots of programs out there, but we like to do it as a group. So we like to do a handover. So whether it's like a 6 or a 7 or an 8, we work in little batches. So 7, 8, 9s, 10s. They all work together. They do handovers every year. So every coach has a responsibility to hand over to the next age with a key master of the skills with that particular age group, right? And obviously, one of the things we do put a huge emphasis on is fun and retention, okay? We've also developed a coaching and a player pathway. The player pathway for us is really, really important. And we have it broken out into specific age groups again. So we've got age groups, we've got subsections, subdivisions, and then it's a handover to each one of those all the way up along. At the center of all of this is communication, folks. If you don't communicate and if you don't work together as a team, you're going to have a little bit of a problem. So everybody on our coaching panel, our coaching pool, they all work together. Do we always see eye to eye on everything? Of course not, right? But that's why, we have quarterly communication sessions. We will start off, and we've started off already. Basically, this year has started off with the last year's end of year review. So we completed all those in November and December. We got feedback. We took it back. We met with every club manager's coach. Give us your feedback. What went well, what didn't. And then we built that into next year. We revisited again this year. And every coach and manager that contributed could see their feedback being incorporated, okay? So it's a continual process. Do we do monitors and check-ins? Absolutely. Again, every quarter. So our next one will be January, February, March. Come April, we'll pull all the coaches in each specific age group together. How are you getting on, guys and girls? What challenge are you having? Where do you need help? So resources and support. We're very lucky. We have resources. We work hard to get resources. We do not let the resources out. So if somebody leaves, we chase them, try bring them back, understand why they've left. Some might be, it could be family, it could be work, it could be educational. But if they have to step away for a while, we allow that, step away, come back in. We'll tie in with you. We talk to them continually throughout the year. And lots of them step away for a while and then re-energize and come back in. And then, finally, best practices and standards. Lavinia touched on safeguarding, child welfare. For us, that's crucial. It's absolutely crucial. It's the center of everything that we do. Great, we may have some success on the pitch. But remember, all of the kids that started under 6, under 7, hundreds of them. There's only 15 that may be able to start on a senior team in hurling, 15 start in a football team. So we protect the core, right? We absolutely strive to make sure everybody has a role to play. We work with every single kid to try to do our best. And our holistic approach to this is around retention. And that's all built underneath each one of these pillars that you see. There might be 10 bullet points, folks, right? So I can't go into all of those 10, right? But underneath coaching and player pathway, one of the most important things for us is retention. We know inside in Limerick City, things are changing, demographics are changing. You know, Piarsaigh and the area of Cardiff generally was a hub of rural people coming in to find work. Those days are not. It's a different demographics. We've got to work really, really hard. Our schools are changing. So what we do is we focus on retention. We know who comes in at the start through the doors, and we track them through the ages, all the way up along. And if anybody steps away, we ask those questions, was there a reason why? And we encourage those folks to come back. Okay, I think I'm out of time. Okay.
How you doing? Afternoon, everyone. I hope you can all hear me, yeah? Yeah. Grand. So my name is David Kennedy. I'm from a club called Loughmore-Castleiney in Tipperary. I'll say two things first. John Connors asked me on the sideline there about 6-7 weeks ago to do a presentation here today. Now, I thought it was a Zoom call. And I'd be sitting at home in my kitchen doing this, but he didn't explain that part. So here I am. And look, it's a tremendous honour for our club to be asked here to present here today. The second thing I'll say is the last time I spoke in front of an audience this large was at my wedding. And that's about 15, 16 years ago. I went up to give my groom speech. I had a good 6 or 7 pints drank. I was nice and relaxed. I thanked every single person in the room and did a good round of applause, sat down, congratulated myself on doing a great job, and turned around to my new wife, and I knew by the look of her something wasn't right. And I got a tap on the shoulder from my brother who was best man. He says, "Dave, you thanked everyone, but you never thanked your wife." So I hope I don't leave anything out here today, okay? So I just what we're going to look at here is talk about our club, how we set up our business, okay? I was given a quick brief of what to talk about. A lot of people in the audience would know the club from our success at adult level in the last number of years. We've had a good run of fortune, I suppose you could say. Going to talk about why we've been successful at adult level. The club, why has it been successful over the last 10, 15, 20 years. Talk about our juvenile section. What are the challenges we are facing? And we are facing major challenges. Major challenges. And the last thing is, what are we going to do about it? So keep it as simple as that. So look, I think I have it here. Very briefly, lads, that's our under-13 team. Last year's under-13 team, and that is every single boy in the parish playing. Okay? There are 2 or 3 other boys that don't play the code, don't play sport. They have no interest in GAA. And we have tried to get those young children to come back into our club, but that's just the way it is. Okay? We're picking from a very small population. The parishes of Loughmore and Castleiney combined are about 1,000 people. I know there's a lot of people in the room here today that can identify with that. Are coming from very similar backgrounds. The area of Loughmore is between the towns of Thurles and Templemore, and we're having a chat earlier on today with one of our lads here in the audience here today. There's very little industry in the area. There's very little reason to keep people in that area, that part of Tipperary. There's no big employers. When you go up to the north of Tipperary, up towards Nina, Ballina, Newport, the draw of Limerick is bringing people to those areas, and that's where the growth is. There's very little growth in this part of Tipperary. So that's the way we are now. We are a small community. We are the smallest juvenile club in mid-Tipperary. And I say by extension, we're probably one of the smallest in the whole of Tipperary. Last year, I'm not exactly sure the numbers, we had about 100 children under the ages of 17 available to play. And that's our playing pool. And that's our playing pool going forward now for the next number of years. Now, we can see that as a negative or we can see that as an opportunity. And Loughmore-Castleiney are seeing it as an opportunity. Okay? This year we've adopted the one club policy. I was the chairman of the juvenile club for 2024. And now with that new policy coming into place, my job has been made redundant effectively. So I'm going back into the coaching pool, okay? But there's a job for everyone that we're going to look at here now in a few months, okay? One of the things I was asked to talk about was why was the club so successful, okay? And the first line I say is an overnight success, many years in the making, okay? In 2024, the club were in a position where they were able to win the senior hurling and the senior football championships, okay? We're the only club in Tipperary to have ever done it. Now, a lot of counties throughout the country have records of clubs winning the dual. Okay, I think what makes this particularly interesting is you're drawn from the same group of players. You could look at the name sheets from the county hurling final this year and from the county football final. It's the same names, and in many circumstances, you have the same players playing in the same positions. Okay, why is that? They are a unique group of players, and I'm not talking about, they're not more skillful than the lads from Tumivara. They're not more skillful than the lads from Clonmel Commercials. They're not fitter than the guys from Drum or the guys from Jacob. They're none of that. I just think they have a unique mentality. Over the years, they've built up a massive resilience. You know, a resilience on and off the pitch. You know, they're playing a lot of matches. We have suffered our fair share of defeats, and we've enjoyed our fair share of success. So that has built up a resilience as well. A gentleman by the name of Eamon Kelly from Killadangan GA Club came in and managed our team this year, and it was his first time being involved with our club. And we would have a very, very healthy rivalry with Killadangan. Okay? And when he came in now to take over our club, at the end of the year, he said 3 things about the group of players. He says, they're probably the easiest group of lads to manage because there was no egos in the group and they just wanted to play. And that's all they want to do. They don't want any fancy training plans or diet plans. They just want to play. Okay? Second last point there. All rural communities need good families. All need good families. And we have been very, very blessed. We've had some very strong families contribute to our club. Guys here might know the McGrath family, but they're only one of many families. The Connolly family and the Hennessy family, to name but 3. They are the basis of a strong rural community. The last thing I'm going to point out is player longevity. We have a lot of lads in the club playing for a long, long time. They hit 34, 35. In your bigger clubs, they're pushed to the one side. But in smaller clubs, we need them to play on. Last week, I thought I was 47 until my son corrected me and said I'm 48. All right? And I'm still playing. I'm still playing. I love to play. I love the game of play. I love training. I love going. I love all of that. But I also think it's a good example to younger people coming through the club. I was looking at our team sheet there that we played our last match was against Dr. Croke's football in the Munster Club football final. The oldest player we had was 38 years of age, 37, 38 years of age. We brought on a player who's 19 years of age. And that is a common trend throughout the club. So what I'm saying is player longevity, by lads staying there for a long time in the club, to stay in playing, to stay involved, they're preparing the ground for the younger players to come on behind them. Okay? These are the challenges. And there's a self-explanatory. You can see them in every club. We've 1 boy for under 9 this year. 1 boy. Actually, we have 2, but the other boy has stopped playing. Okay? In 2025, we are in the process of grouping with another club, our neighbouring club, Mind Timpltoohy. And Mind Timpltoohy could stand up here and give the very same presentation. They are facing the same challenges we're facing. And we are very fortunate that Loughmore-Castleiney and Mind Timpltoohy share the same DNA. There's a lot of family interconnections, what have you. Okay? We share those bonds. So it's coming at a time where it's suiting both clubs to go down this route. But we're only going to do it under 17 and under 19 because they're the age groups that we have the biggest challenges in at the moment. Okay? Unfortunately, we do not have a girls' team, and we would love to have a girls' team. And on the side note, I think the girls' club are probably the most important part of any club. Most of us, we saw our fathers playing GA or our brothers playing GA, but it's our mothers give us the love of the game. Okay? When I was 7, 8 years of age, it was my mother who brought me out to play hurling. It wasn't my dad. He was off too busy farming. It was my mum brought us out. Okay? So we would love to have a girls' team. Now, we are very fortunate. We have a fantastic camogie club in Drum and Inch. Okay, so all the girls from the Loughmore-Castleiney club go to Drum and Inch and hurl with them. And Drum and Inch is a fantastic, fantastic example of getting girls involved and maintaining them and getting them to play to a very, very high standard. So we've been very, very fortunate. Any of the girls who want to go play Gaelic football will go and join Templemore Ladies Football Club. So we are very fortunate that our girls continue to play. About 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I'm not exactly sure, we were able to form an adult ladies football team. And we had to start at the very bottom. We're very fortunate, some fantastic players in that group there, and they've been successful, and we hope to maintain that going into the future. No, it's not all doom and gloom. Being in a small club has its advantages, okay? You literally do know everybody. I was listening to a fantastic presentation from Lavina and the Piarsaigh. I don't know if you'll be able to name every single member of your club. And that's the big thing about big clubs, but in our small little club, everyone literally does know everyone. And there is a huge interdependence on teams. That under 13 team that you're seeing there now, nearly all played under 15 the same year, because we need them all. We need them to play, okay? We have a fantastic coach to player ratio. Most of our age groups will have maybe 10, 11, 12, 13 maybe players, boys and girls. We'll have 2 or 3 parents looking to coach. And that's all we need. So you have a very healthy player-coach ratio. So I often find myself now, last year, the year before, I was working with the under-9s. I'd be coaching a pod of 5 or 6 kids. Then when that session my training aspect finished, the kids moved on to the next coach, and I brought on, another pod came to me. So I only had to work with 5 or 6 kids at a time, okay? And knowing the kids so well and having small numbers, you can track the progress. You can see, well, I know that my own boy, Dara Kennedy, I know how he's progressing. I can see it. I know how he's performing in training. It's easy to keep a track of who's attending training. It's easy to see, well, who's developing, who's not developing, who's showing a bit of commitment, who's showing a bit of flair, okay? 2 guiding principles, and you all have it here. In a small club, every child is important, and it doesn't matter whether they can't kick snow off a rope. They are absolutely vital. They are really, really vital, because we need them just to make a team. And I was talking about 5 things. What are we basing our development on? We're looking at dual commitment. And Loughmore-Castleiney is known for being a successful dual club. And I'll make the point, we are not the only dual club in Tipperary. We have excellent clubs beside us in J.K. Brackens, Mine Tibbaltooey, Upper Church Drumban. They're all dual clubs in the true sense of the word, in that their players from adult all the way down to juvenile are competing at the high level in senior hurling and senior football, really committing, really going for it. And I think, I could talk about this all day. My first time ever playing a match for my club, I think it was about 9 years of age. I played an under-12 match against a large urban team. Went in and played, we got bet 10-10 to no score. The ball never left our half. I remember it well. It was a hurling match. From that group, from that Loughmore team, we had 3 All-Ireland medal winners. The team that we played, 2 of them went on and played for the club at senior level. The rest of the panel never played any adult hurling with our club. And I firmly put it down to playing dual. My own son, I have a young boy at home called Killian. He has absolutely no interest in hurling whatsoever. But he loves playing Gaelic football. And I'm delighted with that. If he never plays hurling, so be it. But there will be a home for him in the club, because he has an opportunity to play Gaelic football. And I'll say this to any club that's here today, if you're only promoting one code, be it hurling or Gaelic football, you're selling yourself short. You're selling yourself short. You're denying yourself the opportunity to increase participation within your club. What's going to say? Yeah, parental involvement. It's a big challenge. Okay, so what we've done now at under 5 and under 7 in our age groups and our coaching on a Saturday morning, parents are not allowed to leave. They have to stay. And it has now become the new church gate of the community. Remember back in the day when we used to go to Mass, right? And after Mass, we'd stand down at the end of the church gate and we'd talk to our neighbours. And that day is kind of gone now. But you come down to Loughmore or into the pitch there in Castleiney on a Saturday morning, and there are parents there who have never met each other because they have to stay. And so this is how we're going to integrate parents into the club, to get them to get involved in coaching. We all know about how important it is to have a good school. Again, we've been finding this a challenge. It's easy to get the school to accept someone to come in to coach, but it's hard to get the right coach to go in. You know, and unfortunately, we had that big challenge in the last few years to get the right person to go into the school and provide coaching to the children. Okay, now schools today, they have a lot of other interests going on. Okay, I talk about not in my own community, but GA is banned in another school that I know. Mindfulness, yoga. That's what the principal wants, and that's what's being promoted. And GA is not welcome in the door, and that is an example of where you have to have really good relationships with the school in your community. In red, I've underlined current and former players. They, I think, are absolutely essential. I always admired the Drum and Inch club and the Tumivara club. When you look at their underage and you see current and former players on the sideline. Okay? Last year when I took on the role of chairman, we tried to build on a program that was there the years before where we're getting players to come in and coach. And it was difficult because we have to adhere to policy. And the three big barriers to it were getting players to attend to a 3-night foundation training course, to attend to a child safety course, and to fill out, as your husband was saying, the Garda vetting, to do all that. So we went in one night, 44 players were present in front of me and getting them to do the 3 of those things. Out of 44, we got 14. Okay, now that sounds like a poor return. It's a fantastic return. We now have 14 men from the parish available to coach. And what I was trying to say to them, it's very difficult to get a guy to commit to coaching when he's 22, 23 years of age. He can't see the point of it. He's other things to be done in his life. But that's the time to get them. So you now have a young lad, Michael Ryan. Mikey Ryan is 17, 18 years of age, 19 years of age. He's now going coaching with our kids in our community. And maybe he will enjoy it. Why wait till Michael turns 31 or 32 to start a family and then go coaching? He has 12 or 13 years of opportunities lost. So now is the time to get current players in. Get them when they're young. Get them when they're in their early 20s. Some might not enjoy it, but some will. All we need is a handful to enjoy it, okay? It's very important to avail of all the resources and the coaching workshops that the county board provide, and that's what we've been doing, and that goes out saying, okay. How do we know we're doing well? Well, how many continue to play? And unfortunately, we've had a lot of drop-off in the last number of years, for whatever reason. I was down coaching another 17 football team last year on an Astra pitch under lights. I think it was about maybe March. And football session going grand. The next thing, a tractor comes down the road. The headlights on, and every football stopped. This is true. Every football stopped. And the 5 or 6 young lads were looking at the tractor. Who's driving that tractor? What's the make and model? And that was all they're interested in. It wasn't fast cars or girls. It was tractor. And that was their distraction. And young lads just have different interests now. They're not built like myself or Tommy Dunn or, Foxy here. Not built like that, where GA is their world. Not built like that anymore. And they have other interests. And how do you keep lads in the circle? I don't know the answer to that, and that's the honest truth. But we are trying to keep them involved. And how are we doing that? I'll just go before I go on to that. In 2024, we didn't have the sufficient numbers to enter at the B competition in hurling and football at under 17 level. So we were forced to go down into the C competitions. And it's like self-fulfilling prophecy. When we went into the C competition, every match we had to travel to involved a minimum of an hour's drive. So Loughmore is just based outside Thurles. I travelled to the Waterford border 5 times last year. And there was nothing more soul destroying than doing that. Getting into your car and driving down, all the way down to the Waterford border to go in and play a game, hoping that we're going to have a team. And the first game we played against a very, very small club. I was very worried that we wouldn't have the numbers. Drove down, I had 18 players. I was absolutely delighted. Says, we're covered. We won't make a show of ourselves here. Walked into the dressing room. I got chatting to the coach from the other team, and he says, I asked, well, how many lads would you have here today? Probably have 11, he goes. I'm going, bollocks. And now it's 7 subs, and I have to play them all. Okay, and that creates problems in itself. Players don't like that. One of the feedbacks I got from one of the players was when they went into school on a Monday morning, having played an under-17 C match, they were talking to their friends from Drum Brackens who had been playing A matches. And they felt very small. They didn't like it. They did not like that. And that's not to degrade the C competitions. Here's Loughmore-Castleiney, this big GA club, everyone thinks it's a utopia. But their club, were playing at C competition, and they did not like that. That's the feedback I got directly from players. And funny enough, we won neither C competition. We weren't good enough to win either the C football or the C hurling. And I think that is leading to another drop-off in our players. By playing in C competitions that, it doesn't encourage participation. I could be wrong. There's other clubs here today that are playing those competitions and they have a different point of view in it. Okay? So what we're thinking of doing is, I'm going to skip this. No, I'll go back here. In 2025, we're going to go on a new departure. We're going to join our neighbouring club, Moyne Timbaltuhi, at under 17 and under 19. And we think there's multiple benefits to it. We are thinking that the standard of coaching will go up because we are going to be meeting coaches from another club with a different voice. We're going to have players mixing with players from another club who are playing at a higher standard and hopefully raise the standard across the way. We're going to be playing in better competition, more competitive competitions. Whether we are good enough or not, we don't know. We'll find out soon enough. But that's where we think we're going to have to go in order to maintain standards. Because long term, what's been said here, is maintaining a standard for these kids will play at an adult level. They compete at an adult level. We had a chat, Brendan, myself and Michael and David were having a chat. There's a core group of players in that under 17 have never played in a B competition. They've never played. And yet we expect them next year to play adult at A standard. It just isn't going to happen. So this is how we're hoping to address for the next while, for the next year or two, however it works, work with another club and do that. Okay. One other thing was talked about, how do you get kids from juvenile up to adult? I'm looking at all the faces here today, and I'm pretty sure nearly every male in this room here played adult hurling or adult football. And I'm sure you can remember what it was like to go from being 17, 18 years of age and then to walk into an adult dressing room. Now, that's easy if your father or your uncle or your older brother is playing adult. But if you're the first of your family to cross the threshold and go into an adult club, that can be quite intimidating. So you have to create a welcoming environment. People, young lads, 17 years of age, needs to walk in, and one of those 3 A's, he has to be accepted within the group. No matter how good a hurler or how poor a hurler he is, he has to be accepted and made to feel welcome. Over the last number of years, and this is not by design, it's just has happened, our juvenile and our senior teams train on the same evenings. They train on the same evenings. So we have an Astro, we have a juvenile pitch and we have an adult pitch. So it's a fantastic atmosphere. Having all these people, it's like a festival of GA. 5-year-olds, 8-year-olds and 48-year-olds sharing the same facility at the same time. It's a wonderful thing to see. I remember Doon GA talk, and maybe there's people from Doon here today, talking about having a festival of hurling, having all their teams train at the one time. We're doing it, and I think it lends a beautiful atmosphere to walk into the Cugilla and see 100 people training, adults and children, all training. And that just raises visibility. So your child knows who your senior player is, and the senior player knows who the child is. Something we did this year, we got some of our kids, 15 and over, to get involved with the adult club, doing jobs, carrying the hurleys, carrying the water, sorting out the jerseys, things like that, getting them involved. Obviously, you have to adhere to policy. They can't be in the dressing room when the lads are in and out of the shower, stuff like that. Okay, we have to protect ourselves and protect the children, what have you. But it's been a nice little, it's been a nice introduction to the adult club for some of these kids. Another thing we've adopted, We brought our S&C coach, that called Paul Tracy from the Tumivara club. He joined our club last year, did an incredible job. He's now working with our underage, doing work that's appropriate for that age group. Okay? So again, an introduction. So the kids feel really valued by having S&C coach from the adult club coming down, doing stuff with them. We have all these adult teams, but the most important team, I think, is our junior C team. Now, every kid that's 17, 18 years of age is good enough to play, junior A or senior. But we have a junior C team, so they'll be rubbing shoulders with likes myself. I'm too old to catch them, but there's a place for them, and they get to enjoy, and they get to play, and they get an introduction to adult hurling. And that is how we're hoping to retain as many of our young players as possible, by keeping them, give them a team to play at that's at their level. Now, some lads are a bit more ambitious, and they'll go and they'll play junior A, they'll play senior. But for everyone else, there's a junior C team. It's competitive, it's welcoming, it's a bit of crack, but most importantly, it's appropriate for their age group. So guys, that's our story. We hope in the next few years that we'll continue our success. We hope to be competitive with all the other, our next door neighbouring clubs, but most importantly, we hope to be present and to be relevant. And I thank you for your time. Okay, thank you.